Organizations tend to be so focused on doing what they always do, dealing with the stress and noise of the everyday, that they can find it difficult to recognize valuable opportunities right under their nose, and they tend to overvalue existing practice when confronted by something different. Sometimes the best ideas are hidden in plain view, and that's how I see our business. It presents a simple and smart solution put together in a way that's not been done before. We're a digital platform solution provider based in Mumbai. Our solution resets the way that buyers and suppliers interact, addressing the friction and creating cost benefits for both. We utilize the power of network and collaboration to modify the engagement process and release locked-in value which cannot otherwise be realized. Our selected market sector is the fast-growing India construction market, which is estimated to be valued at $1 trillion by 2025. Our monetization model does not rely on advertising or subscription. Rather, we take a share of the new value we create for our clients. The platform itself is free to use for any type of stakeholder and can create value for both the buyer and supplier from the very first transaction. Our goal is very simple. We want to make buyer-seller interactions much more efficient. Our business model cuts right to the heart of a key inefficiency which is largely overlooked but which manifests itself across almost all transactions. It targets an unaddressed friction area between buyers and suppliers which creates suboptimal conditions for procurement interactions affecting both stakeholders. In doing so, we aim to be the smartest tool in the toolbox for buyers in the construction industry and the go-to sales channel for suppliers. Our mechanisms allow both parties to share in the gains in a win-win which is repeatable transaction after transaction. My name is Mike Glover, and I am the founder CEO. I have more than 30 years' experience, and I leave it to your judgment to the extent to which it is positive in the context of digital creativity. I worked in mature markets, transitional markets, as well as previously here in India. I've been involved in startups, in family organizations, and in multinationals with operational, commercial, functional, and M&A experience. I've been a managing director of a multinational. I have led a $350 million acquisition and a £1.8 billion joint venture merger. I've also spent the last few years developing ideas and solutions in and around innovation. I cannot change who I am, but I can tell you that I possess plenty of perseverance, I'm good with change and ambiguity, and I'm emotionally equipped to handle the fact that things will not happen as I expect. I'm also a realist, and I understand the difficulty of challenging current ways of doing business and overcoming existing behavior. The problem we solve is a fundamental one. Selling is extremely inefficient, as depicted in this Salesforce.com lead-to-deal conversion rate illustration. In fact, no other activity in business routinely operates at such a low level of efficiency, and yet failure rates of more than 90% are often accepted without question. Even the new, adapted and highly targeted digital marketing initiatives do not really do much better, because they are addressing the symptoms rather than the cause. So why are so many customer approaches unsuccessful? Typically, it's about timing. It's simply not the right time to approach a customer, or there is just no relationship with the buyer decision maker. The result? Wasted sales and marketing costs which are currently priced into existing sales. This inefficiency is then further compounded. Suppliers are left with unused, unsold spare capacity which they would love to sell, but they are unwilling to invest in additional sales resource because of its low return on effort, and they are also unwilling to drop the price on the marginal sales for fear of disrupting overall market price. This unsold, unused spare capacity is also priced into existing sales. And who pays for this inefficiency? Existing customers. Our platform solution turns the engagement process on its head. Instead of suppliers displaying their products and credentials in the typical platform display and sell market model, it is the buyers who post up their requirements when they are ready to buy. Suppliers can view these requests and respond through the platform at no cost. All responses are discrete and can be viewed only by the buyer who posted the request, enabling individual and variable pricing. The saved sales and marketing costs are shared by the supplier with buyers when a sale is made. In addition, The platform anonymously aggregates the demand across multiple buyers, enabling suppliers to sell unused spare capacity at normal market rates. This cost benefit is also shared by the supplier across the buyers. Suppliers can find and win new business on a no-win, no-cost basis at normal market price, and buyers anonymously pool their spend to receive a cost benefit from the supplier. The mechanisms are smartly constructed to ensure that each party is motivated to follow the process and not cut a deal partway through the journey. The buyer's cost share benefit is paid in cash as buyers stop paying for the supplier's inefficiency, creating a new revenue stream for their organization. The platform contains a number of features which are compelling both for buyers and suppliers. Suppliers are able to simultaneously increase their sales and reduce costs, connecting with customers who are priced individually. At the same time, buyers are able to pool their spending power by anonymously combining their demand from a supplier irrespective of how big or small a company they are. The mechanisms transform the engagement to capture a value that can be applied to all types of supply interactions, working for each new and repetitive transaction, making it a highly effective long-term value tool. The platform is free to use and it generates granular and valuable market data, made available to users without compromising individual data confidentiality. This level of data is not available in the market today. Monetization is based on a share of the new value creation. We do not need subscriptions or advertising. Our market selection is based on a number of interrelated key factors. The first is a population dynamic. The population around the Indian Ocean is already much more significant than Western markets, and the future population growth dynamic will drive a very strong increase in demand for construction of all types. Using per capita cement consumption as a reference for construction intensity, it can be seen that India is less than half the world average, and if you use China as a benchmark for a population which has been catching up with the West on infrastructure and urban development, the potential is for construction intensity to increase by 4 times per capita on top of the population growth already highlighted. If you then look at the market structure for construction in India, it is highly fragmented both on the buy side and on the supply side, and there is real value in the platform's construct to interface between the two and to facilitate disintermediation. Competition for us is largely irrelevant, as we operate in a different space to our closest competition. E-commerce platforms most often work on the basis of display and sell and enable suppliers to be found by prospective buyers, effectively extending their reach. Flipkart and Amazon would be good examples. Business, however, does not so far use such a platform for their large and strategic spend categories. Why? Because business expects to be able to negotiate, and large buyers will expect to command more competitive pricing. Our platform enables individual and variable pricing. E-procurement platforms enable access by suppliers to true business buyers, though often at the cost of a subscription. Their efficiency focus is generally around the procurement process itself, and they do not facilitate spend aggregation by buyers to yield further cost savings like us. There are some consortia buying platforms which do, of course, enable aggregation of spend across multiple buyers, but only where those buyers buy the same product at the same price, a significant constraint which does not reflect the need for competitive buying advantage. 2020 enables spend aggregation at a supplier even if buyers buy different products and/or at different prices. 2020 is effectively able to combine all of the value capture of each and all of its nearest competition and more without significant behavioral change implications. Our business model enables buyers to secure purchases below market rate. They post up their requirements on our platform, review responses, and define the best deal and price according to their normal negotiation process. Suppliers gain access to new customers for free. The deal is that in return, they post up a platform offer on a no-win, no-cost basis. We then apply that platform deal as a rebate when supply has been completed, which is collected from the supplier and paid to the buyer like a cashback, a portion of which is retained as revenue for 2020. There are some subtleties to the platform offer mechanism which motivate loyalty to the platform process and offer progressive benefits to both sides. The supplier achieves increased sales, reduced fixed and sales and marketing costs per unit, which it shares with buyers through the platform, guaranteeing the buyer cost savings above and beyond what it can negotiate for itself. Our internal business development strategy includes all of the traditional market approaches like direct sales and the use of social media and direct email and telemarketing, but we are also exploring other channels to market. We have already connected with channel partners who target the same industry and market sectors with complementary digital value offerings. This includes a digital solution for project coordination and management, a site safety app, and an equipment sharing app. 2020's platform will enable these third-party agencies to further monetize existing market relationships, as we will pay them a share of earnings for each introduction. Similarly, we intend to engage marketing agencies on a gain share basis, leveraging any existing relationships with realtors and developers which they can further monetize through us, as well as save those existing clients money. It also becomes an interesting proposition for consultancies who have relationships with the larger developer contractors, since it provides a new additional value generating tool, providing a new layer of cost saving whilst enabling supply chain collaboration for these clients. Our costing has considered a gain share model across all three of these channels to market. Based on conservative assumptions around the level of spend of an average buyer, our financial model assumes a value generation of $41,000 per buyer, of which $33,000 is retained by the buyer and $8,000 remains with us as our revenue earnings on an annualized basis. But to put this in context, for a single top-tier developer contractor putting around 50% of its annual spend through the platform, we would generate a value of $2.6 million of new value, $2.1 million of which will be gained by the buyer and $500,000 retained for us. Year 1 represents the build and launch of the platform, and we already have a minimum viable product and are preparing engagement with users. Year 2 is about generating a customer base, with the platform generating steadily growing demand to reach 2,000 buyer members by the end of the year, reaching profitability at approximately 1,000 active buyer users. In Year 3, the platform will yield an EBITDA of $20 million, with the number of active buyers growing to 10,000 by the end of Q4. Valuing the business using a conservative PE ratio of 4 at $80 million. To fund the journey to the Year 3 outlook, when operating cash flow has ramped up, the business will need to use $1 million in operating cash for Year 1 and a further $2 million for Year 2 to fund further development and enhancement around the platform's usability based on the feedback from early users. This is a normal and effective strategy to ensure full alignment with user needs and behaviors and to recognize additional opportunities. We will also need to build up an effective support team structure to look after the maintenance of the platform's infrastructure and to support user engagement and penetration. We will set up an outsourced financial operation for our invoicing, collection and payments needs, at least at the beginning, to enable us to retain focus on the platform offering itself. We will also need funds to cover marketing costs and to finance the working capital requirements. The investment of $3 million will yield a 10 times return based on our financials and the Year 3 valuation at 4 times EBITDA. This initial equity investment is offered at a discount of 15%.